I brought my favourite tool along with me. This is honestly one of the best fruit harvesting tools I've ever found. And you can see it's a long stick with a pruner on the end. But the clever thing about this design is the orange, you see it's like a plastic stopper, and it grabs the avocado and it stops it from falling. A lot of people aren't aware that avocados, even when they're green, can get easily bruised, and if you were to drop a green avocado during the harvesting process, that bruise will show as it's ripening. So you want to be quite gentle with the avocados when you're picking them. And when they are really high up there, which I'm picking them in a minute, my arms aren't long enough, so I need a long stick like this. I did try a net. If you're interested in looking, there's a lot of options for fruit picking tools. There's one with a net on it where it's got like a circle on the top to basically just yank them off into the net. I found that causes quite a lot of damage to the tree, especially when there's some avocados close together. You can accidentally pull off more than one and cause a bit of damage to the young leaves at the end. It is an unbelievable tool, this. If you're struggling to reach for fruits, you just need quite long arm span though to pick them off the end when you do that. If you are picking from your own tree, don't pick your whole tree in one go. It might sound obvious to some people, but I know there are some people out there who will think when a tree's ready I need to go and clear out the tree and preserve it all or store it all, otherwise it's going to get wasted. It's funny, I remember when we stayed at an Airbnb a few years ago, this was in Montenegro, and the owner of the property had planted quite a few fruit trees, and he was telling me, we got speaking to him and he was telling me a story where one of the guests thought they were helping him out by deciding to pick his whole cherry tree. So as you can imagine, the owner wasn't too happy, but he came home after the guests had left to find a fridge full of cherries that were slightly underripe, and unfortunately because they were picked underripe they didn't actually ripen fully. I'm going to pick it as you need it, and that's why I even with the oranges right now, all I do is go down to the orange tree every morning, get what I need, and leave the rest of them on the tree and these last longer. You need quite long arms though. If you're doing it by yourself, you need an arm span of the length of the post. Right, got a bag of avocados. Still a lot to go at. Loads and loads of avocados. What do you have to say to people who would say that trees like this cause environmental destruction? Yeah, well, again, they're getting a very bad reputation on the avocado trees. First of all mass farming is causing destruction to a degree. It's all just associated with large-scale monocrops. It's not actually specifically a problem with avocados. People say, I don't know what the exact arguments are, but I think people say they don't pollinate well on their own and they require too much water to be grown in Europe and all these things. Well, yeah, it's not true. The reason this tree doesn't have, I don't have the need to bring in pollinators and create like an unnatural system is because there's just such a healthy ecosystem surrounding this tree. So as you can tell, it's got about 200 or 300 avocados on it. They've obviously been flowers that were pollinated to give the fruit, and I've not brought in any pollinators. It's just everywhere you walk throughout the grounds here, on the land there's just wildflowers everywhere, trees flowering at different times of the year, all basically creating something for the pollinators to go to and from, and that's what's creating like the healthy environment. And that's why avocados themselves aren't the problem. It's just the whole setup. If all avocado large scale farms used a bit more of like a biodiversity setting and worked more with like a mindset centered around creating a healthy ecosystem, we wouldn't have that same negative consequence and that negative belief associated with avocado trees. Especially in California, that's where they get slated the most, these avocado monocultures. But it's the same with almond monocultures, orange orchards, all of them, they're all the same. Yeah, they do actually. Even the organic farms, they look like deserts, don't they? Yeah, but the reason is I think this one gets more of a bad reputation is because probably requires more water than say citrus trees and olive trees to produce. Well, yeah, avocados themselves are a more expensive food, so farmers are more drawn to growing avocados. As a result, they're starting a lot of avocado farms, and because they're not quite equipped to deal with the Mediterranean summers on their own, farmers are having to give them more water than say an orange tree to produce. but the farmers are just thinking they want to get the fruit to sell to make more money. But there's different problems all around the world. Like South Spain, yeah, water might be more of an issue. I mean, this tree here doesn't actually get that much water on it because we're in a little bit more of a microclimate that favours the avocados here, so don't have to give it too much water, and the ground's nice and covered to retain that water even more. But in places where avocado production is very high, like in Mexico, they don't have to water at all, but they have different issues. I think the main issue over there is to do with the fungicide usage on these avocados to stop disease and bacteria and all that kind of stuff. And that is, yeah, that's a different problem because of a different environment. Again, it's not a result of the avocado, it's just the way the things are being done, the commercial scale of it, that's causing the problem. Again, it's more a situation where the environment where the tree is being grown isn't set up in a way where it can rely on the rainfall. You know, the rainfall could be more than enough.
What I find quite interesting is you need, well, everyone knows this, you need insects to pollinate the trees, or even birds in some cases, but there's just not going to be any life on these farms, you see, is there?
Well, the thing is, it makes it even worse as well when you have such a drab landscape filled with trees, and then you bring in one pollinator like a mason bee, just put beehives at the end of each, the end of each orchard. That is creating such an imbalance in itself. It's probably causing more harm than good anyway. So it's like we're just going so far down one rabbit hole that we're just going further and further away from correcting the system.
It's probably why I've never seen this tree have any pest issues.
Yeah.
The leaves always look healthy, don't they?
Yeah. Everything is kept in check, and everything is just naturally healthy if you just let everything work as it should. And nature has the natural balance, and like I say, it doesn't have any pest issues because there's a natural solution to that just in nature. It's just if you let it and don't create such a barren landscape around, like you can probably see around as well. I don't trim the ground around these trees. I let all the natural wildflowers and wild plants come up because they're all serving a purpose. I'm bringing in lots of different pollinators as well. So yeah, it's even if you have a tree that is self-fertile. I mean, this avocado tree isn't, but even if you have a tree that's self-fertile, you still need pollinators. Or if you have pollinators, it can produce even more fruit than it would if it was just left completely by itself. So yeah, it's a very important aspect of fruit trees as a whole, really, to have a healthy system around it, because if you want good fruit, you want loaded trees, you need the system to support it. And yeah, avocado has been given a very bad reputation just from poor farming practices, really, not a fault of the tree itself.